Now that's better. And yet people are still mad about it?
Those were up, and they did.
More smarts and my...
He told me enough.
No, I.
Here's Chuck.
Hey everyone, it's Don J. Corleone here, and I'm here with a brand new movie review. And this movie review is going to be for technically the third installment of the MonsterVerse, but technically it is the second Godzilla film. And of course, it's going to be for one that came out in 2019, 5 years after the 2014 film. And this was for one that actually this time has more of Godzilla in this movie. Yeah, there's that. Which was very surprising. And this is going to be for this time. This one would be directed by a different director who did some horror-themed holiday black comedy films. This will be his first big-budgeted film. That is going to be for none other than 2019's Godzilla King of the Monsters, which is not directed by Gareth Edwards, and this time is directed by Michael Dougherty, the director of the horror anthology Trick or Treat and the Christmas-themed horror film Krampus. And this would be his third feature film. Anyway, the story of this one, well, this time the story follows the heroic efforts of the cryptozoology agency Monarch as its members face off against the battery god-sized monsters again. And this time it includes the mighty Godzilla, and this time he's colliding with Mothra, Rodent, and his ultimate nemesis, and the three-headed King Ghidorah. When these ancient super species, thought to be more myths, rise again, they all evolve for supremacy, leaving humanity's very existence hanging in the balance. So, how was this movie made? Well, it all happened when this sequel got greenlit in the very opening weekend of the first Godzilla movie, and Gareth Edwards was going to direct a trilogy. Then in May 2016, because Gareth Edwards did a pretty bad job at the first film, he thankfully left the project. So in October 2016, Michael Dougherty and Shields were going to be rewriting the whole script. Thank God, because what would it be? Godzilla appearing what would it have been if Gareth Edwards directed the sequel? What, would Godzilla not appear till 1 minute? Left in the sequel? Would that have been his original version? Probably. Whereas his versions would be Godzilla never showing up at all and being another lie. Thank God he left and actually went on and did Rogue One and The Creator instead. Because honestly, I don't think he should be touching Godzilla after what he did. Yeah. And then January 2017, Michael Dougherty was confirmed to be directing the movie. And so principal photography or filming the movie began in June 2017 in Atlanta, Georgia, and then wrapped up fully on September 2017. And of course, Yoshimitsu Banno and also original Godzilla super performer Haruo Nakajima both died in 2017, so the film is dedicated to them. And Yoshimitsu is director of Godzilla vs. Hedorah. Just to let you guys know. So after the movie was marketed and once it was completed and the film got marketed, Godzilla King of the Monsters were going to be theatrically released on May 31st, 2019. Unfortunately, while somehow Godzilla 2014 got positive reviews for some weird reason, Godzilla King of the Monsters actually has Godzilla this time and is true to the advertising, but somehow gets mixed reviews from critics for not being a bore fest. But it was praised for the visual effects, action sequences, and cinematography and musical score, but they criticized the plot because it's not because it's not more human drama, the pacing, the tone, and the human characters once again, which is reasonable because that's a problem with these MonsterVerse films, the human characters. And unfortunately, while Kong Skull Island and Godzilla 2014 were box office hits, this was not. Because it only made $387 million worldwide against its production budget of $170 million or $200 million and marketing costs between $100 and $150 million. And it's the lowest grossing film in the MonsterVerse. And you want to know why this movie did not perform well? Because for one, well, obvious reasons. Like, this was released around May 2019. What's so bad about that? Well, remember, guys, during that whole May event, we had Avengers Endgame, which was the strongest film playing that whole month because that came out the end of April, and that was way more hyped for than this. People were much more hyped for that movie, a little more than Godzilla King of the Monsters. Then, to make things more brutal, 2 weeks later, you had Detective Pikachu, and that became the #1 film that weekend for the families. To make things even worse, then a week after Detective Pikachu, John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum came out, and that made pretty good amount of money. And a lot of action movie fans were way more hyped for that movie. Then, but the worst part is, you want to know what this came out the same time as? The Aladdin remake. Yep, this could have not come out at a much worse time. This had to deal with the Aladdin remake. The trashy one with the ugly genie, Will Smith genie. That version. Yep, so this did not perform well. And another factor being, there were fans who did not like the first film. When they saw this was a sequel to that movie, it's like, oh, a sequel to the 2014 movie where we were not fans of, and and Godzilla never showed up. Oh, we didn't like that movie. What if this is not any better? And what if Godzilla never appears in this one? Let's not waste our time with this one. Maybe we should just wait for streaming. Yeah, so it did not perform well. For plenty of those reasons. Crowded release, and because some fans did not like the 2014 movie. So they didn't want to get all overhyped, or probably didn't want to waste their time with this one in case it ended up being much worse for Godzilla on this one. But of course, we all know, like, this is a cinematic universe, so, like, it didn't stop Godzilla vs. Kong from getting released. And that, because that got released on March 24th, 2021. Now, as for my reaction anyways, like, yeah, like the people I mentioned, I was not a big fan of 2014, so I was one of the people who skipped seeing this in the theaters. And that whole month was crowded as hell, like, Pikachu, Avengers Endgame, John Wick 3, I was more hyped for those movies, so I went and saw those instead. Those three are like, and the Aladdin remake are why this movie bombed. But then I watched it during lockdown in 2020 the next year, and I will say, this is not a masterpiece, but it's decently enjoyable. This is probably the first good film in the MonsterVerse in my opinion. Like, Kong Skull Island was alright. It's 6 out of 10 worthy. I mean, I don't think it's like as great as people were calling it. I think it's a little overhyped, to be honest, but it was alright. It was definitely an improvement over Godzilla 2014, but that's not saying much. More watchable than that film. Because, and at least Kong's in that movie. That I can definitely say. And even the human character, like, that's probably the best writing the human characters have in these movies. Is Kong Skull Island. That's probably the closest you get to good human characters in this cinematic universe. But this is probably the, like, first good passable film in the MonsterVerse easily. This was everything the 2014 movie should have been, and this is what should have started the MonsterVerse to begin with, instead of the 2014 Boarfest. If this had started the MonsterVerse, I think this probably would have actually made the money the 2014 film made. It probably would have been even more successful than the 2014 film. But no. Let's make this the sequel. And it barely makes money. Like, it expands on the already established MonsterVerse. This latest installment sees the kaiju take on a whole host of unearthed mega beasts. That's how the story pretty much goes. Is this any good? Like, for those who are unhappy about the 2014 film, this is definitely better. Godzilla's in this one, and there's actually action here. Monster action like you should want in a Godzilla movie. It's 2 hours and 12 minutes, like it's longer than the 2014 film, but it's this time you get pure action and carnage. Like, however, it's definitely not going to be that if you're expecting a good script and character development. You're not going to get that here. Like, the acting is pretty much delivering poor dialogue. The characters are just there to provide exposition. The film the gaps between CGI creatures kicking the crap out of each other. It's not Oscar material, and it's not supposed to be. I don't care if it's not Oscar material. I don't care about the Oscars. Anyway. The movie's about Godzilla, right? Well, yeah, Godzilla's in this movie more, but even this movie still doesn't feel like it's about Godzilla, though. This time, like, it still feels like it's about the human characters. I don't want to watch a Godzilla film about human characters in these movies. Like, there's a reason why, like, Godzilla Minus One, you want to write human characters, the original Godzilla, Godzilla Minus One. Those are how you write human characters in a Godzilla movie. Legendary can barely write good human characters. Like, I don't, most of the movie we focus on this teenage girl and her mom 70% of the film, and I still don't really care about them either. I mean, they're not as boring, they're much less insufferable than Eric Johnson's character in the first film. I can agree with that. But I still don't really care about them because they're just not well written, especially the mom character the most. Like, Eric Johnson's character is just boring. Vera Farmiga's character is very insufferable, and we're going to get to why. But the fight scenes with Zilla make the movie worth it. Like, yeah, once again, like, I'm not the biggest Godzilla fan. I enjoyed Godzilla Minus One, and I enjoy Godzilla vs. Kong. I enjoyed Godzilla 1998. Yes, I'm going to say that again and cue the angry boos. Again, I don't give a shit. I enjoy it. Deal with it. And then, of course, you got Godzilla King of the Monsters, which is definitely a fun time waster. Like, the MonsterVerse really starts taking shape here, and the direction that it went in is exciting. It's a movie about monsters fighting, and you get monsters fighting. It's it. At least for once, this movie was not a lie like the first one was. That's all you need to know. Like, Godzilla King of Monsters is, like, definitely the most visually spectacular Godzilla movie, and the fight scenes are well choreographed, and the monster designs are more stunning here than they were in the first. Like, but yeah, this movie still has problems though, so it's not perfect because the dialogue is horrible, the human characters are still forgettable, and they're invulnerable to anything except when they're supposed to die. The action still goes back and forth from the kaijus fighting to the humans. Like, I don't care about the human characters. I don't care about them. Not in these movies. Like, even Godzilla vs. Kong, the human characters weren't written that well. And that's my favorite, so far, my favorite one of the MonsterVerse. I'm seeing Godzilla X Kong tonight, but I don't care about the human characters in these movies. Like, I want to see Godzilla, and I want to see good writers actually do the human characters, and most of the time I want to see Godzilla. Like, Godzilla is what I want to see in these films. Like, but this is still Godzilla, so there's still good things here. Like, everything else is kind of top-notch. Godzilla's top-notch, you actually see him this time, and he's well lit. The music is amazing, the visuals are stunning, the monsters look amazing. And Ghidorah is very amazing to look at. Like, how does this movie start that? So, how the movie starts off is, this is set 5 years after the existence of giant monsters called the Titans, and they got revealed to the world. And now we get our new protagonist, who's Dr. Emma Russell, Vera's character. She's a paleobiologist working for the Titans study organization Monarch, and then her daughter Massa witnessed the birth of a larva called Mothra. The animal calls Mothra using this orca thing, a device that can emit frequencies to attract or tighten behavior. Then you got a group of eco-terrorists led by Colonel Alan Jorda. They attack the base, they abduct Emma Madison though. Then at the same time, Mothra though flees and pupates under a nearby waterfall. So, yeah, then we get introduced to the Monarch scientists, who are Dr. Ishiro Surizawa and Vivani Gram. And they see former employee Dr. Mark Russell, and we learn is Emma's ex-husband and Madison's father. They approach him to help track them down. Mark is still reluctant to do that because he has a massive hate for Godzilla. He blames Godzilla for his son's death during all the events in San Francisco in the first film, where we never saw Godzilla at all. But he agrees. And then the team then follows Godzilla to Antarctica. Jonah wants to free the three-headed titan codenamed the Monster Zero. Of course, Emma frees and awakens Monster Zero. Yeah, she does so much stupid shit in this movie. And proves to be hostile. Then slaughters Monarch's G-Team, battles Godzilla, and devours Gram before escaping. Then the team realizes Emma's working with the terrorists, and from a Monarch bunker, Emma then pretty much decides she's going to contact Monarch and argues that the Titans have to be awakened to heal Earth from the human impact on the environment. And points to Monarch research indicating that apparently the Titans can terraform and replenish systems. Yeah. God, this character sucks. But, like, with the criticisms here, remember the criticisms of the first film? Well, guess what, guys? When they got Michael Dougherty clearly saw those criticisms and how they hated that Godzilla was barely in 2014, And he decided that he was going to make up for that. And was going to actually add Godzilla Galore in a sequel. And then, of course, King of the Monsters, yeah, isn't as subtle or grounded as Gareth Edwards' attempt, but the pace is faster, the action's bigger and louder, and the acting, especially for Ken Watanabe, who's the only one who's back for this movie, is definitely good. And honestly, Ken's performance is much better than it was in the first. The story, though, yeah, it's still convoluted, it's still ludicrous, it's still, like, annoying to see characters globe-trotting off screen between China and Antarctica, the Mexico and Boston, and somehow getting there no problems. And some of the monsters, like, were still completely wasted, despite like, it's advertised in the trailers that they're going to appear more, but some of them just don't. But they're just small little problems here, like, they don't really infuriate me as much as they did in the first film. A fair bit of the screenplay doesn't really stand to intense scrutiny, and some character decisions make definitely zero sense. And but it's still not as convoluted. And there's much more coherence, and it's definitely much more coherent. The screenwriters have a bit to say about the effects of the enter of the state of the planet. And it's definitely more Brody labored than than in the first film as well. Yeah. And there's a reason the movie's hardly perfect, and it does get weighed down. You have the bickering humans, the Toulon subplot of getting one's daughter back, which is Millie's character, Vera Farmiga's character's daughter, who's played by Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things, and not to mention, everyone's motivations just take long to realize and when explained, it's hard to know where to side. Do you side with Godzilla? Do you side with the humans? Personally, I side with Godzilla in this movie. Yeah. More than the human characters, so after the whole beginning scene, then Emma then awakens Rhoda in Mexico, and then the Monarch team decide they're going to lure Rodin towards Monster Zero. Then Monster Zero defeats Rodin. Then Godzilla appears and ambushes Monster Zero, and severes his left head. And it's a very epic scene right there. Yeah, now this is a Godzilla entrance. And then during this whole epic fight, the military launches this prototype weapon called the Oxygen Destroyer, and it seemingly kills Godzilla. But then Monster Zero, though, is not affected by this, and decides he regrows his lost head, awakens the other dominant titans worldwide, and Rodin submits to his rule. And then Serizawa chides Mark that he's gotten what he's wished for, and then, of course, though, throughout the film, Vera's character, her stupid decisions often endanger her daughter, Madison. And they're most of the time she's just trying to have a good relationship with her, but honestly, her stupid decisions make that really impossible to even sympathize with her, because most of her decisions almost get her daughter killed. Throughout the entire film, it is hard to even remotely sympathize with this chick. Sometimes she's good, or sometimes she even ends up being the villain, and personally, she really feels like the villain of this movie. So yeah, and you want to know what's reasonable? Guess what? Yeah, most reasonable. It's pretty reasonable. Is it really shocking that Madison clearly disowns Emma after this? Yeah. It's really not that shocking, at all. Because you just don't like this character. It's hard to even root for her. And when you analyze Monster Zero's abilities and mythological texts, Monarch then deduces it's King Ghidorah, who is this highly destructive alien, and seeks to clearly destruct Earth, cause destruction to Earth. Then a post-mutation Mothra then flies to Monarch's Bermuda base to communicate with Godzilla. Godzilla, we see, is recuperating in an ancient underwater city in the Hollow Earth, so the team then uses a submarine, they locate Godzilla's radioactive lair, and they decide it will take long for Godzilla to heal on its own, so Serizawa decides to sacrifice himself and manually detonates a nuclear warhead to speed up the process. So guess what, guys? With this process, Godzilla is quickly revived, and his power even increases. So right there, there's some decent quality. There's one decent quality to human characters as they actually help Godzilla here, and they help Godzilla heal. Yeah, even if the movie's hardly perfect and does get weighed, yeah. Even though the human characters are not written well, but with any Godzilla or Kaiju movie, we're not here for the human characters. We're here to see the monster we want to see, and that's Godzilla, or any other monsters that are in the film. And at least they don't dominate 95% of the screen time from Godzilla like they did in the first film either. So yeah. This time here it's 60 or 40% humans. Yeah. Here we get to see a little more Godzilla. And more than half of the movie is spent on building suspense, giving brief scenes of four main monsters awakening, and all the buildup is close to perfect. And it's easily the best scene of this movie. Like when Mothra appeared spreading its wings from the cloud of light scene, they actually foreshadow good moral characters of Mothra starting from the posters when it's flying along with helicopters, now hovering over them is Ghidorah, and it's also born in the cocoon of Niagara Fall, which is another epic scene of the movie. And the music in the background's you know this thing's going to be on our side with the music in the background. Then you get shots of Mothra in the battle, though. And sadly, though, Mothra in the battle wasn't that great. And the battles do look a little cartoonish. But that's meant to be a throwback to all the Godzilla movies from the 50s. So some fans should be happy there. And the monsters' character development, even though the monsters are just monsters, their character development is great. They can't talk and they don't have human faces, but they show specific relation to humans and their golden companions. Right there. So yeah, the monsters actually, even though they're monsters, they get some good character development in this movie. And the part where the oxygen destroyer is being sent at the fight scene of Godzilla and Ghidorah in the helicopter is following the ship needs to save it. It's a good little tense moment, but do we really need to have that one moment of having a human protagonist that we have not liked the whole movie and was honestly just really insufferable, has really pissed us off the whole damn film? Yeah, saving people. That adds nothing to the story because, for one, she's not likable. She's a horrible parent. Yeah, it's seriously and honestly, you're kind of on the dad's side when he blames her for everything that's happened and why their daughter's in danger in the first place. It's because of her stupid ass. Right here, it just adds nothing to the story. Or what about also the scene, then again, that's also the scene where the parents have this movie-long hissy fit over their daughter. If, the family drama is so lame. I wish the family drama could have been removed from the movie and nothing would be really different. The mother wants the monsters to rise again, how they can just take over the world again like they should have always. Then have her do just that. And the daughter, why is the daughter even present for any of this? The only thing that daughter contributes to the movie, Madison, Madison's the daughter's name, guys. The only thing, Madison really contributes is she just puts the kaijus on a halt, that brings Ghidorah to the location, literally leads Ghidorah to her home unintentionally. But Godzilla ends up literally rising, finds Ghidorah, fights him anyway. Let's say, if that scene didn't happen and Madison did not leave the bunker, and Godzilla finds other kaijus, whoops their asses. Finds King Ghidorah, whoops his ass. Movie ends, family lives. Don't have the family in the film in the first place. But, no. Yeah. But because, hey, we want to make up for this mom being so unlikable. What do? Let's have a pointless sacrifice and try to force us to give a shit. They try to make the scene so emotional when she sacrifices herself, but I don't care. I don't like her character, so I didn't feel shit one bit. If they even try to make this character remotely try to spend time making this character likable, maybe I would, but no. What's there to like about this chick? She endangers her daughter. She's willing to release monsters into the world. Yeah, I don't care that she's dead. I was very satisfied when she died. Because she annoyed me so much. So then, now we get back to that. Emma realizes Ghidorah's reign over the other titans is bringing destruction, be far worse than anything. Yeah, now you fucking think that? And humans could inflict, but then Jonah ignores the police and tries to stop it. Then Madison overhears and orders plants Lord Ghidorah to boss nearby, so she steals the Orca so she can implement it herself. Madison then arrives at Fenway Park. She broadcasts a frequency. It calms the Titans, but it also, unfortunately, it's a kind of a stupid choice because it attracts them to her location. Then Ghidorah lands at Boston, destroys the Orca. Then Godzilla arrives to engagement battle with Mark's personal assistance, though. Then Mark leads a team to rescue Madison and escape the city, and even learns Godzilla radiation levels are increasing, and they will lead to a new explosion. So Mothra arrives to help Godzilla, but then gets intercepted by Rodan. She then defeats him, but unfortunately, Mothra is injured in the process. Oh yeah, now that I think about, now I've mentioned the dad character, what does the dad character do either? Nothing useful. He does, like, nothing useful, and he's, like, useless the entire film. The only reason he's even in the film is because they think he knows how the transmitter works, and they need to find kaijus or whatever not. They literally try to make him slightly useful, because apparently he lived taking pictures of wolves or things for periods of times, and knows Godzilla's apparently flashing his dorsal fins as some sign of dominance. Then the rest of the film, he just spends the rest of the film arguing and bitching about his own daughter. All the half of his conversation is just about his own daughter. Like, there's too much characters to keep track of and get invested in. Now, even though I don't like the mom character, I'll admit, Vera Farmiga and Millie Bobby Brown do try with the scripts they have and try to carry the plot, but what's on display can't really distract you from the observed plot, and apparently, like, I don't know why they needed to include such a vaulted and far-fetched narrative. Like, there's no need to stretch a plot in a Godzilla film at all. Like, yeah, like, with the, like, although, like with the, it's not as, like, tedious as the first film, because the first film, where you have a good opening act and you start the movie off well, all you got was just a boring military guy and a boring army who are not interesting to watch in San Francisco, and then Godzilla never shows up to the finale, so why is it even called Godzilla in the first place? Here, though, you have a number of different stories and characters that play into the clash of Godzilla and the other Titans, but you get Godzilla in the movie. You actually get Godzilla this time, so they don't lie about that. There are plus in the story department, though, that there's this... The character, human, like... The thing is, like, with the human characters, they have potential to write good human characters, but they choose not to. The first one, Bryan Cranston could have actually been a great human lead. No, they kill him off. Replace him with the boring characters that are Aaron Taylor Johnson, Elizabeth Olsen, who didn't even look like parents at all, and in fact look more like college older siblings of the kid that's supposed to be their son. Yeah, because they were so miscasted. Then a sequel, the characters aren't as boring, at least. They're slightly improved, but the lead character is definitely not improved. In fact, is honestly much worse written. Yeah, and you get some more insight to the motivations of the scientists who studied Godzilla for years. And Ken Watanabe was who as a quippy-sided character in the first film. Now he's a generally interesting, important character here. So at least he was written well. In fact, I don't know why Ken could have been the human lead in this movie. I'd like that better instead. Yeah, but director Michael Dougherty, he impresses a striking still into King of the Monsters, and he brings dazzling cinematography together with a beautiful, elegant score. How does this finale go even? Like, apparently, so how the finale goes is, during the battle, Ghidorah overpowers Godzilla, then Mothra sacrifices herself with her last bit of strength, and her energy gets transferred to Godzilla. So now our three human leads, our family, they reunite, they reactivate the Orca to prevent Ghidorah striking Godzilla and Mothra's energy out of Godzilla. Then Emma stays behind to keep Ghidorah distracted and chases the Orca, decides to try to redeem herself even though it's pathetic. It gives, like, both Mark Masson and the Monarch team time to escape. Then Godzilla enters the empowered state and vaporizes Ghidorah, and Emma gets vaporized. Thank God. Thank God this dumb character is dead, because I don't like her ass. Good. Finally, she's fucking dead. Who cares? How is this sad? I don't care about her at all. And they try to make it so... They try to make us feel sad, but honestly, you really kind of shouldn't. Erode and the other Titans then converge on Godzilla, and they bow to him as their new alpha. And that's where the movie ends. Right there. It just simply ends right there. Godzilla saved the day. His foes defeated. The end. Just end it with Godzilla. Don't end it with the human characters. That's better. End it with Godzilla, like you should end it with. But it's not completely over, because with the end credits, you get the news clippings and Monarch public files, and they show, like, the Titans are now actually healing the planet, and a second Mothra egg was discovered, and some Titans are actually converging on Khan's home in Skull Island. Then you have ancient cave paintings of Godzilla and Kong Titans locked in battle are shown. Then you get a post-credit scene, where you see Jonah and his forces. They're purchasing Ghidorah's previously severe left hand in Mexico, and the ending right there, that pretty much sets up Godzilla versus Kong. Yeah, you could tell, like, that's the next one. Godzilla versus Kong is finally happening. Godzilla and Kong are going to finally duke it out. And that was going to come in 2020, but ended up releasing in March 2021 because you all know why. We all know why, and we don't need to mention it. But yeah, like right there, unlike the lame-ass finale nobody remembers in the first film, you get a more enjoyable finale right here, and you get some epic monster action. I mentioned the bad qualities here. I hate the human characters. I mean, they're a minor improvement from the human characters in the first film, but the lead they choose is honestly much more insufferable. At least Aaron Taylor Johnson's character was just boring. Was just a boring wooden lead. Wasn't unlikable, just kind of boring. That was it. He was just boring. Vera from Farmgira, no. Her fucking character pissed me off. I've mentioned that countless times, but her character easily was very insufferable. And if her character was decently well written, I'd probably give it an 8, but her character was so annoying I had to almost drop my score. And she was a huge problem, and she makes such stupid decisions. And she clearly doesn't sound like, just makes such stupid decisions. Like, is it really shocked that like, literally her old daughter yelled at her and disowned her? Was it really that shocking? And even, like, one soldier in a scene where the two parents are arguing is like, if I had you two as my parents, I'd run away as well. Yeah. You two are horrible parents. Because I don't care about these characters. The pacing's still not really good because even though this is longer than the first one, and it felt way longer than 132 minutes. The human scenes are especially the worst paced. When I watch Godzilla, once again, I don't want to see human family drama. I want to see good human characters like Godzilla Minus One had. Godzilla Minus One gets its human characters right. Like, take notes from that next time you want to write human characters. Take notes from Godzilla Minus One. Ones you could root for and invest in. Ones you could give a shit about. So yeah, while King of the Monsters is good, it's still not masterpiece worthy. But it's good. In the end, guys, Godzilla King of the Monsters is a good movie that it's a stream online because of the problems I mentioned, but it's still good compared to the 2014 Borefest. Anyways, guys, that's it for my review of Godzilla King of the Monsters. If you're wondering how to rate Godzilla King of the Monsters, here's how I'm going to rate this movie. So overall, if you were unsatisfied with the 2014 film, don't worry, you'll get better results here with this movie if you want to see a proper Godzilla film this time, but still stream this one online though because there's still some problems with this movie. If you're wondering how I'm going to rate Godzilla King of the Monsters, I'm going to give Godzilla King of the Monsters a 7 out of 10. There we go, guys. That officially wraps up this review for Godzilla King of the Monsters. So, yeah, now guys, I gotta make the thumbnail, edit this video, and then I gotta go get ready to go see Godzilla X Con. So I gotta end this video now, because the show starts at 6:50 p.m., so I gotta get going. So I can go see Godzilla X Con, and then I can figure out my thoughts on the movie, and I can review the movie. Yeah. Can't wait to see this tonight. I'm excited. For those who saw the movie, let me know what you thought of it. Let me know what you thought of Godzilla X Con, or even let me know your thoughts about this movie and your opinions of this movie below. Or maybe give opinions for both. And so I'll know if I'll be able to enjoy the film. Till then, guys, that will be it for this review. Thank y'all for watching. If you like this and want to see more, don't forget to like, subscribe to Don G. Corleone.